Jeff, I've just finished talking to some of your key associates, and I feel like I just watched the last episode of The Office or the finale of Friends. I could tell that the closeness that this team you created was phenomenal, and that's what these people are going to remember. I could probably come up with 10 observations, but one of the things that jumps out at me that you are, when I knew this because we had talked before, but your focus was so much on people. You invested in them, you invested financially in them, but you also invested your life in them, and you poured your life and you gave them opportunities to develop and become something even later in life after you retired that they would never have the opportunity to do. You will live on long after some undertaker like me buries you. And that has to be something that you can't help but be satisfied and be proud of. The other thing is, and a lot of leaders could learn from you, but you empowered people to do their job. You gave people a chance, but you not only gave them a chance, but when you saw what they could do, you promote them quickly, but you empowered them to do it. You realized that you were not the answer to all of it. You knew your gifts. You needed people around you to make you successful, to make the company successful, and you empowered them to do it. So they had fun coming to work because they got to make decisions, and it's so impressive as I look at all this. And I don't know. You've had a heck of a run, my friend, and I know you've listened to many of these conversations we've had. I just want your thoughts. Give me a little bit of did anything surprise you? What made you most proud? Just give me your comments on what these people said and what they mean to you.
Well, first of all, you can't imagine the pride I have and how they've turned out.
Oh, my goodness.
It's unbelievable. I mean, if they were football players, it's like they all got Super Bowl rings. I mean, I cannot convey in any way how proud I am of them and how happy I am that they've done so well, and that it's them that did it.
Right.
Dan Heath is an author, smart man, wrote a bunch of really good books. Latest one was Upstream, wonderful book. But in one of his earliest books, he said there's the elephant and there's the rider. Picture the elephant and the little kid riding the elephant. Elephant weighs 3,000 pounds. The kid that's driving the elephant weighs 60 pounds. He said the elephant is what you want. You're hungry, you eat. You're mad, you stampede. You're thirsty, you drink. That's what elephants do. And the elephant runs your life. That's your instincts. That's what you naturally are driven to go do. That's the elephant. Well, the rider, that's your intellect. That's your rational thinking. That's the stuff your mama told you to do. You don't want to do it. So what I think happened, and this is from afar, this is from the front of the hearse, okay, is that I was the elephant. The people you talked to were my riders. I really didn't have to decide where I was going to eat and drink if I was going to get mad or not. In fact, when I get mad, Dina would say, "Take a breath. Right. This is when I might hate you. So just take a breath. I'm going to tell you something." They would tell me some crazy stuff, and I finally learned when the crazier it was, the bigger I smiled because they had it.
Right.
They found a $45,000 bookkeeping error on a vendor's part that they'd already made 2 phone calls and gotten fixed in 10 minutes before coming up to tell me, "We fixed it, but you'll think it's funny." Lots of things happen like that. I could be Jeff, the elephant, and I was about the size of an elephant because I had my riders. And you've met the riders.
You didn't have to be anybody but yourself.
Exactly. Now, by the same token, my brother Mike Canis is my brother. He's the smartest man on the planet. And Mike told me one time, long time ago, he said, Jeff, he said, you tend to want everybody to do it in your style, your way, how exactly you would do it. He said, I'm going to warn you right now, that won't go too far. I must have been 20 when he told me that. He said, you need to let everybody do their thing their way, unless it either will make people overweight or put you in prison or them in prison. If it's not illegal or fattening, let them do it their way. And so that had a big impact on me because I knew Mike was smart. And so that's what I did. So I let them be their elephant. But the things, the traits they were hired for, we have just synthesized in the last 10 years was that we want friendly people, nice people. We want people, you look at that photo of the team, every one of those people has one drive. They want everyone in their zip code tickled and happy with what's going on. They have to have that. And there's no one we've ever hired that, for long that wasn't a people person that had to have people happy, if not thrilled with what they were doing. And so, of course, my closest people, you met them, that's who they are.
First class.
They take care of each other. They take care of their customers, their teams, the vendors. Everyone is driven by the win-win scenario. If we have a lose, if one of us loses, it's going to have to be a lose-lose. We're going to have to both lose. So, we're not going to win and you lose.
So what's interesting to me is most of these people know no other kind of leadership because they've been under your leadership and empowered to do their jobs. Some of them will find out as they go through their lives that there are leaders and they're smart people that run businesses that try to control everything that goes on, and it's very debilitating to whoever's trying to, and they do that thinking they're controlling the outcome, but what they're really doing is losing control when you're controlling everything, because you need those people around you that make you successful. I mean, and you did it well. I got to tell you did it well.
Well, there's a story of cut the rope. The cut the rope story was that, me and you are mountain climbing, and something happens, and we're connected to each other when we fall a certain degree. And I'm where I can still be saved, but I'm looking down at you, or you're looking down at me, and you say, well, there's no way this circumstance ends where either we don't both die or he dies. And the point here is, the guy down, that I'm going to tell you from a distance, the guy down below, if he'd have had a knife, he'd have pulled it and cut it himself and just fallen 4,000 feet to his death. The guy above him had a knife, and the guy below yelled up, cut it or we're going to both die. And the guy calmly, his best friend down there, calmly pulled out the knife, opened it, cut it, and dropped his friend 4,000 feet to his death. Now, the long story is he fell onto a big old pile of snow. Do I need to tell you that about 3 hours after the grieving best friend walked back down into camp, 12,000 feet below, all grieving, that about 2 hours later, his best friend walked up and said, "Ooh, that was a hell of a ride." The point is, when we're going through all the stuff that we went through, at any time, we've had the situation where we had to cut the rope on that person. We liked them. We had to cut the rope so that we could all walk back down to base camp. And so many times that was a good decision. But you have to have enough reality, enough rationality in your brain at all times to survive this length of time in business with this great a team, with all those customers. You have to have that or you won't make it.
You were so creative that you're doing so many different things. I've been hearing these promotional things, the bug babies, and I mean, just so many different things. Not only you allowed it, you encouraged it, you financed it, you sent them to places. They had fun coming to work. Boy, there's some lessons to be learned. I'm just afraid for some of them when they go on in a career, they won't have a Jeff. They're going to know the difference. But the truth is, many of these people that I talk to will be a Jeff.
Yeah.
Because you created them to do that, and you created the leadership, the leader team that you called it. They basically ran the company. You let them do it, and you were watching what they were doing, but you were letting them do it.
Bruce, most of the things that we did that made the most difference in our company, like the great game of business profit sharing, having the leader team, using the top grading system, all the neat HR practices that we have, we were the only one in our whole industry in the whole United States of America doing all of those things, most of those things. We're the only one in 2000 that were doing them.
Sure.
Now, one other thing my folks have learned is that just because there's 22,000 people that aren't doing it that way, like you, doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
They're not afraid. If they know it's the thing, they're going to do it till proven wrong.
So when you got to the point that you had this great team and you created a family and you had to make the tough decisions, that's part of it. You run a business. It's not all fun and games. I get that. Everybody gets that. I mean, you got tough decisions, heartbreaking decisions, all that goes on. But the truth is you had a close-knit group and you came to the point of talking about selling it and knowing that this was going to end. Talk about a little bit about your thought process and what was going on in your head and your heart when that was going on.
Well, in 2021, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at myself, 65 years old, and I'm a really big studier of long-term economic trends. And I read a lot about it, I study it. I realized that the next best time to get out of this financially, lifestyle, and everything else was going to be probably 2030, maybe 2031. Either I needed to do it now, or I knew it'd be 10 more years. Well, in 10 more years, I'll be 75. And, the point where I was, the peak of evaluations were peaked, and the money supply for the potential buyers had peaked, and they were competing really hard for a couple of reasons I don't need to get into. They needed businesses like ours because ours was super rare, and I knew that it was the perfect time to go. And I knew that as long as I could take care of certain things a certain way, I could do it without regret.
Right.
And I was able to do that.
And you brought some people in to help make that decision.
Did we?
Talk about that a little bit.
I had a great team. Now, we had a great team. We ran the business for the last 15 years as if we were selling it tomorrow, even though we didn't do it to sell it tomorrow, but we ran it the right way. I had a outsourced CFO called Mackey Advisors up in Kentucky we'd had for 7 or 8 years. Everything we're always running it right. Had an attorney team that we'd been doing everything the right way. We're planning my whole life. And in fact, he said, Jeff, you've done a better job of planning your death than anybody I know. Now, can we get around to planning your life?
Really?
That's a good idea, Bruce. Y'all plan your life at half as good as you plan your funeral, please. And so we pushed the button and said, you know what? This was in January, February, and Dina and Bo and I made that decision together. If they'd have been saying no, we're going 10 more years, if they could have talked me into that, I'd have let the game clock run out. I'd have gone.
Well, it had to be emotional. I know it was for your people. It had to be emotional for you. You had to be proud and sad at the same time, if that can happen, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit like when they tell you that this was the last episode of MASH. Right. The story had run its course. For me, it'd run its course.
Right.
And this thing where, you know what, I wanted to see what they were going to be and what they're going to do. I want to see what Bo and Dina would become. I wanted to see how far these different people can go. And so far, I've been very, very happy with it. I've been very happy with how they're doing and what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I am sad that they're gonna discover crappy leadership.
Yeah.
But they need to learn that.
Yeah.
They need to learn how to navigate that, and they will.
They've learned something early in their career that most people don't have the opportunity to learn. That is for sure. So, tell me, I've been interviewing your people today, and we're summing it up. But talk about what the purpose was. Why are you giving this gift to them? What are you trying to accomplish with what we do?
Really, it is just for the people part. When you're driving it and I'm right behind you and I'm in that box, just know the guy in that box is good.
Yeah. That's good enough. Wow.
That's all I got.
Well, if you got a final message for all these people that meant so much to you, you got anything you want to tell them?
I love them.
I think they love you. And as I said to somebody else, at the end of the day, what did the Beatles say? All you need is love.
Exactly.
When you get our age, it's really important.
It's the only thing we got left.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
God bless you.
Well, thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, Jim.
Appreciate it.